Okay, so welcome to the monthly volunteer training. We have this once a month for half an hour on I think it's the third Friday, because this way we don't have to sit at a conference for 4 hours once a year. Um, I'm going to share my screen so we can see the little PowerPoint here. We'll share this desktop. There we go. All right, so you can see today, I obviously forgot to change the date on the slide, but that's okay. We are talking about using club youth leaders. So one thing that makes 4-H different than a lot of other youth organizations is that we value our youth's voice. We want them to have an opportunity to say what they want to participate in, to be part of the decision-making process. And we know through research that having youth voice is pinnacle to their success. There's lots of organizations out there who talk about using youth voice, and they do their very best to make sure that they have input from their kids, but they don't do it quite as good as I think our 4-H volunteers do. I'm going to go over a couple of different little theories and research that has been done to talk about youth voice and what it is and how we can use our club youth leaders. But then I'm also going to go over examples, because while I really love learning about the concept of youth voice and leadership, I think we learn best when we see them in a practical way. So I'll go ahead and advance this. The power of youth voice. So I actually attended a conference this last week, and we talked about all the different things that come from when you use the power of youth voice in your club meetings. So we talked about things like they generate ideas, or they work as a team together. They're able to teach the younger kids. They feel more successful. So using youth voice in our club meetings is essential to be able to help them to get the best out of their 4-H experience. And there's different ways you can do it, obviously, depending on your club and the situation that you're in. But we're going to start with how can we use youth voice. One of the main things that we like to encourage people to do is to make sure that the youth feel empowered in making decisions. I put this little running graphic up here because I wanted to talk about starting small. You know, if I wanted to run the Boston Marathon or what's it called, an Ironman, I would not just go out and sign up and start like right now. So if you're a new club, or if you're an older club that maybe is getting back into using youth leadership, start small. Start with someone who is in charge of saying the pledge that day, someone who's maybe in charge of leading the group meeting. Maybe they're in charge of welcoming people to the club. One thing that we have that we're going to get more of in our office is little placards you can give to kids. So when they're running the meeting, they know, okay, today I'm the president. When I'm the president, I do this, this, and this. And then maybe the next year advance it to where the leaders are a little bit more involved in the planning of your club activities, in the design of your calendar, and go from there. You also have to understand the ages of your kids. A clover bed or a kindergartner is not going to have the same kind of leadership capability as a senior in high school. So just remember to start somewhere. Give them some sort of meaningful responsibility that they feel empowered to accomplish. One thing that we learned at this conference, and the example that was given, is a youth, they were going on a trip, and she was 11 years old, and her job was to be the GPS manner. So she held the phone for the leader and told the leader where to go. Like, the leader made it a big deal, like, this is your job, you're in charge of the map, get us where we need to be. Awesome. Maybe if you're doing another club, you have someone who is in charge of setting up, and just say, hey, I need you to come to this club meeting a little early. Can you help me set up? Like, what best way can we set up? So just start somewhere. That's the most important thing that I want people to understand. Oh, this graphic is kind of blurry, but this is how we empower our youth. We teach them. We learn about the ME model at this conference, which is model behavior, engage, and empower. We want kids to see how to do leadership. We're going to model it for them, help them to feel like they can do it, and then empower them to continue on. So listen to the kids, affirm their strengths. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but kids always have strengths. And as a leader, it's your job to help them not only discover their strengths, but to use their strengths to become leaders. I think so often we talk about leadership in this grand scheme, and it's the class clown who's standing in front of everybody. But in all reality, most leaders are the strong and silent type. So as a volunteer, help them break through barriers when they're afraid of standing in front of a group. Maybe that's not the leadership position for them, but maybe they're a really, really friendly person one-on-one, and you help them to greet others as they come into the club. And then be vulnerable with kids. I love telling my teen council about like the fact that I messed up something, I forgot something, I'm whatever, because then they see the fact that like I'm not perfect either, and they understand that I'm not expecting perfection from them. We also want to make sure that we are encouraging resilience, because if they do quote unquote fail in a position that we give them, teach them that that's okay, that failure is not a bad thing. Now, I'll be the first to admit that I hate the idea of failure, because I'm so afraid of people thinking that I am not worth something. And so I'm very aware of if I fail or not. But I think it's okay to fail. And we need to teach kids in a leadership position that it's okay to fail. This quote came up in my research that I just loved. Leadership is a series of behaviors rather than a role for heroes. Leadership skills are about building on things they already do. Just because you're not in a leadership position in a club doesn't mean you can't be a leader. Leadership is way more based on what you do rather than the role you hold. So just make sure you help kids understand that. So if we continue on, this is what I wanted to talk about. This is kind of the bulk of what I wanted to share. I'm going to go through 4 different kinds of kids. We're going to talk about how we can get them involved in leadership, how we can encourage them to use their strengths to help our club, and what can we do to push them forward. So this is Sarah. She's in 1st grade, so she's a little clover bud. She is super outgoing, but she loves to write stories. She has an older sibling in 4-H who she's seen grown up in the program, and she loves creative writing and crafts. So if I was Sarah's club leader, as she came into my Clover Bud Club, I noticed that she has no problem talking to people. She loves to write. I might ask her to help us write or to greet people as they come in. So like, Sarah, I noticed that you are so friendly and outgoing with people. Would you be willing at our next club meeting to be the greeter? And as people come into our club meeting, you say hi and welcome them? Or Sarah, I noticed that you have no problem getting up in front of people. Would you mind leading our pledge at the next meeting? So then she's set up for success the next time. Now, obviously she's only in 1st grade, so there's not much she can do. But with her writing, I would say, Sarah, we are looking to maybe have, oh man, my phone is ringing. We're having some issues at our apartment. Our couch that we bought didn't fit. And so we're like, freaking out. Anyway. So with Sarah's ability to write stories, I might say, Sarah, I really love that you have a creative mind. Can you think of a creative project that we could do as a club? And would you mind teaching us maybe a little bit about how you get inspiration for stories? So then she can teach a club meeting down the road. Now, obviously, Sarah might go off the deep end with this teaching opportunity, but that's okay. Just tell her, I need you to share a 10-minute little lesson in our club meeting about creative writing. And she learns how to stand up in front of people, how to direct attention, and how to teach. So our next kid is Benjamin. So he is in grade 10. He's shy. He really is a reserved young man, but he always wants to step up and help. He's super busy in the winter because he runs track, but he raises market hogs and he does woodwork. So with Benjamin, this is where you start to see, I don't want to say like teenage issues, but they do get busy as they get older. And it's important to take them where they're at. So if you know that Ben is only available in the summer to you, say, Ben, hey, I really appreciate the fact that you're always willing to help. We've got a younger kid who's trying to get into woodworking. Do you think you could maybe take him aside and help him with a woodworking project this summer? Or maybe in his busy months, just make sure you're checking up on him and being like, Ben, I know you're really busy, but I really appreciate you being in our club. Leadership doesn't have to just be your club president, your club secretary, your club whatever. Leadership is about behaviors. So helping Ben recognize his strengths as a helper for younger kids is what I would try to do with Ben. Now, obviously, there's way more we could be doing with these guys, but these are just some examples to kind of show you and get you thinking outside the box of what leadership actually is. Okay, this is Cody. Cody is a 5th grader. She loves to talk and she loves to be entertaining. She's that girl in the classroom who just thinks she's hilarious and just won't stop talking to everybody involved. Her project areas are art, sewing, and cookies. So again, with Cody, I would probably ask Cody like, hey, I noticed that you are super outgoing and bubbly. Would you be interested in helping us with recruitment? So when you go to school, you talk to kids in your class and say things like, then ask them to, oh yes, Craig said a song leader. That would be a really good one for her. Anyway, so I want you to help with like recruitment. So when you go to class, like what can we do to get more kids involved in our club? Like what makes you excited to come to 4-H? And I want you to help me figure out what we can do to make our club meetings more energetic, And then also I would probably have Cody be paired with another younger kid who's coming into the club to help her introduce them to things. Cody might make a really, really good club president, or she might make a really good vice president or song leader or pledge leader, but just letting her know that like you appreciate her energy, because more often than not, when she's in school, she's probably being told that she's too loud and that she's too obnoxious. But why couldn't we harness that as a strength in 4-H and teach her things? I'll come back to you, Craig. I'll probably have you show stuff. Okay, and then our last one is Jackson. Jackson is a senior in high school. He's super busy with work and he just does FFA market steers. Now that just because they're involved in FFA does not mean that they cannot be involved in our 4-H clubs. In fact, I think these FFA officers and FFA members can teach our younger kids a lot. So this is kind of like with Ben, like take him where he's at. If Jackson can be a leader to the younger kids in their project, awesome. Or maybe you ask Jackson to help plan a market steer showmanship clinic for your club and just say, Jackson, I know you're really busy with work this summer, but I've got 4 or 5 younger kids in our club who just are brand new to the market steer project area. Can you help us teach a showmanship clinic this month? So those are just some examples of kids that you might encounter in club settings. So I know this was really short and it was a little bit more storytelling, but I wanted to get to the meat of leadership, which is not necessarily your leadership roles. Obviously with younger kids, you need to take them where they're at. That's why I did that little running graphic. So maybe just before each club meeting, say, hey, will you be our club president and get our meeting started? Help them like go over what the resume is going to be. With our teen council, what I do is we meet as a teen council once a month, but then I have teen council presidency that I meet with separate. And I help the teen council presidency plan the next teen council meeting. So I'm there to help like get the conversation going, say like, here are things coming up on your agenda. What do you guys need to do? What do you want to do for our next club meeting? And then they plan the agenda. So that way, when I go to the club meeting, it's them leading it. So then what they'll do is our club president will get up, she'll start the meeting, we'll have pledges. Our vice president will take, or our secretary will take roll so we know who's coming. And then if we have a speaker or something, then oftentimes our person will introduce, or our president will introduce the new speaker. So anyway, that's kind of a little bit about club leadership. I wanted this to be more about like using kids' strengths to make them leaders rather than looking at them as like roles in your club. So Craig said he has some officer cards that he was going to show us. So I really appreciate that.
I actually don't have all of them. I only have the song leader card. And the reason why is because last year my club were all teenagers and they were not into songs. And so I pulled this one out that just happened to be in here. But what I will say is my little mountain bike club, they've been doing this for a long time. But now I've had complete turnover of all the kids in my mountain bike club. And so I've had to bust these back out to reteach them how to do this. And then this month for our community club in Paradise, it was the first club of getting the club going. And so you talked about that me method of modeling. And so what we did is we actually had the adults wear the cards. And we said, okay, look, next time this is going to be you guys. And so we modeled it, and we had all the cards, and somebody was the president, the vice president, the pledge leader, the secretary, and it was really great. And then when we divided our Clover Buds in one group, our juniors in another group, and then I actually took the intermediates, and we didn't have any senior aged kids. And so when I took the intermediate kids, what I did is I said, look, you guys are the leaders. You're the oldest kids here. You have to set the example. Next week, you guys are going to do this. And now I just need to follow up with pick 4 kids who will lead our next meeting. But I like you said with your teen council, you don't want to just like spring it on them. I need to contact them in advance so that they're prepared, they're comfortable, they already know they're going to be. And then over time, you can just randomly do it with the cards. They get used to it, like, oh yeah, that's not a big deal. I can be the pledge leader. I know the pledge. So what I have not been able to do with my clubs yet is move to the next level of appointing and having permanent club officers. I'm still working on that. Someday.
That's okay.
Someday. I think it's going to happen quicker in the community club than it will in my
Sure.
club.
No, I love that. I think.
And then the only other thing I wanted to say about Youth Voice is, when kids realize that their input matters and that they can influence their experience, they're more apt to say, yeah, let's do this, as long as we don't squelch their decision making. And so if you're going to give them an option, you better be willing to follow through and say, okay. Now, for example, we did club shirts a few years back, and I let the kids design them. I hated them. They were ugly. I thought they were ugly. But the kids designed them, and they made the decisions on the color and the design, and it's like, okay, it's your shirt. So I think that Youth Voice is about giving them power and letting them learn how to have power to make decisions that influence them. So it's key.
I love that. That's basically what I did with our teen council. Is I just said, okay, like we talked about they wanted to do like adulting 101 classes. That's what they said they wanted. Like, we want to learn how to do adult skills. So I said, okay, but what skills do you want to learn? And I made them come up with a calendar and the list. And then I said, I'm happy to find people, but they've all found people to come teach them. So it's been really, really nice. Now, obviously, so like Nick, he runs our Junior Master Gardener Club. They are very young. These kids are young, but I mean, why could you not let them pick what they plant, or, you talked about doing like an insect collection type thing. So like what kind of bugs they want to look for as they're going out.
All of them.
Yep. All the bugs.
So Nick, how young are your youngest?
I think the youngest was kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't when I started, I wasn't expecting like that younger kid. So like, I don't know. I feel like the meetings are super chaotic, and I'm trying to figure out how to make it work.
That's exactly what the situation we had with our community club. We had plans to divide up into 4 groups, one for the Clover Buds, one for the juniors, intermediates, and seniors. But when we got there, what we found out is that the Clover Buds were manageable, no problem. Seniors didn't show up. There were quite a few, there were 12 intermediates, but there was like 20 juniors, and we only had 1 leader, and they really struggled to keep them engaged. So now for the next time, we're going to shuffle things up and make sure we have 3 or 4 leaders with our juniors, so they can handle the kids. So that might be something to consider too.
Yeah.
I think that goes back to what we're going to try to do in our county a little bit, Nick, and I will like include you in this, but I am actually going to go meet with all our FFA advisors and just say, hey, I really love what you guys do. I need some teen leaders in some of these 4-H clubs that we've got in our county, like Junior Master Gardeners and like our teen council, and just say like, I appreciate FFA, but they are welcome. And I would love to have them come help our younger 4-Hers who maybe are more interested in the ag side of stuff, because so often we compete with FFA, and in our county, it's either FFA or 4-H. Like they don't blend together very well.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm tired of that. And so I'll get
If-
some FFA teens to come help.
If the FFA understands that relationship, what they should see is that you are their feeder program.
Yep. That's kind of what I'm trying to do, is like, if kids want to go into FFA, awesome. But all I ask is like, bring me a couple teen leaders back. Like they can still do FFA and wear your jacket in the FFA show. Absolutely. But if you are really interested in gardening, we would love some teen leaders in our Junior Master Gardener Club to come help these younger kids. So anyway, awesome. Well, I only go for half an hour. That's my rule, is I stick
You're
to
the
30
best.
minutes. Our next one will be June. Let's see. I'm trying to look here. I think it'll be June 18th. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it'll be the 18th. So, yeah.
And then make sure you send out the link too.
Yep. I will
I
send
know
it out.
The Heavenly Herd used officer cards last week too.
Sweet.
So I don't know how that went, but someone told me that, oh yeah, they used officer cards. Like, sweet.
I love it.
So
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks
Okay.
guys for coming.
Thanks.
See ya.